Welcome to episode 2. We are having our sip and tell with M and L. I am your host, L.
Hi, I'm Mo.
And we're going to be going over episode 2 of Married at First Sight. In our last episode, we were introduced to all of the couples and we were given a brief description of who they are. We made some guesses and we also got to see our first wedding with Lindsay and Mark. So for episode 2, there were 2 new weddings. We had Jasmina and Michael first and Katina and Elijah. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the second wedding, Jasmina and Michael.
Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. So I'm going to talk about Michael before the wedding. Prepping for the wedding, I loved seeing Michael's sisters being so supportive of him. And again, I still think they spoil him a little too much. Mm-hmm. Nice to see that he could get emotional after his about his mother and not being there, and them putting, the breast cancer pin on him, things like that. I thought that was really nice. I thought he looked really nice in that burgundy. He was looking good. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm not a fan of men with beards, but if I were, I'd give him a double check. He was looking really nice in that burgundy with that beard. For Jasmina, before the wedding, I mean, she's just gorgeous, as we expected. And she was doing her darndest not to cry and mess up her makeup. Mm-hmm. She literally had to keep from crying as she walked down the aisle.
Jasmina and Michael's wedding was really nice. I think there was a lot of initial attraction there. We know that in past seasons, some of the women, not a lot, some of the women, would be like, no, you can kiss me on the cheek. And that was kind of an indicator of,
True.
Maybe I don't really want to kiss you quite yet because I'm not attracted to you. Mm-hmm. But in this case, Jasmina and Michael went all for it. They had a nice smooch. Mm-hmm. And then they also had they were able to jump the broom. So Michael and Jasmina, they jumped the broom, which is something
really cool,
really amazing, and very cultural. Mm-hmm. For people who may not know, jumping the broom was a way to signal that we're married, especially in slavery.
Right.
They didn't have the right to get married.
Right. And the thing I liked also about the wedding is I loved that Jasmina has such a sense of humor. She's fun. Her vows were
K-pop.
Good. Right.
She likes K-dramas. That's my girl.
Yeah, her vows were very cute and they were funny. And I will say this, when they did go for the kiss, me personally am not a fan of somebody grabbing my face to kiss me, but they did. He went in for the kiss. I could tell he recognized that he was lucky, right? Because when she come down the aisle, he was like, wow. He realized he hit the jackpot. So I like the wedding. I love her sense of humor. I think, pretty and sense of humor. Awesome. And then after the wedding, he drank the champagne without doing a toast. I told you this man, he hasn't been trained right by his sisters. They've been spoiling him. And my personal take on the wedding, it almost seemed like she wasn't exactly feeling him. I think, she kind of made the comment that we'll see how this plays out. Yeah. So I don't think there was like that strong attraction to him, but I also think she's open to growing an attraction to him. But I just like on initial, I was like, she's playing it cool. She is, she's a pro. The girl's a pro. She was playing it cool. She's seeing how it's going to go. And I think, they'll do fine.
I agree. So the next wedding was Katina and Elijah.
So I personally feel like Elijah is very immature. I will probably say that over and over and over. He is. I will say this. He looked very sharp in the black and white. Mm-hmm. But the crying was too much. It was too much. I mean, the ugly face crying, I was just like, come on, dude, pull it together. And I think all the crying is because he was scared. He knows he's not man enough to step up to the plate as a husband. That's just my take on it. I just don't think he's mature enough to do that. And then just a side note, that friend of his was looking really nice.
Oh, yeah. That Indian friend. I think he's Indian, right?
I think so.
Either way, he's gorgeous. Nice. He's beautiful.
He is.
The man, yeah. He has a ring on his finger, but we trying to figure out who this woman is.
And then for Katina, she was very calm and collected. She really seems like she's going into it with the right intentions. You didn't hear her talking about superficial things or anything like that. Her mom's giving her good advice. about looking at his personality. At the wedding itself, I still think he's cheesy. He's standing at the altar where she at, and those types of things. And he said something, I think it might have been before the wedding, about he wonders if he's messed with somebody that she knows or something. And I was just like, he knows he has a messy past. So that could get in the way of his psyche and moving forward. But when he saw her coming down the aisle, he was very smitten with her. He was cheesing from ear to ear. And, when they were talking about the family, what the family wants you to know, and his family calls him Tootie. Because at the end of the episode, calls him Tootie. His vows were not written. She had some, safe vows. His were not written. He was just coming up with them off the rip, which lets me know he's a very good liar, that he said these things before. He was just pulling it from the sky, very emotional things from the sky. Yeah. And then how the producers made him look like he talks too much after the wedding. That was quite hilarious to me.
Yeah, so the editing is absolute gold. I don't know who's in charge of editing for Lifetime, specifically for Married at First Sight, but they deserve all the gold and accolades because the way they're editing Elijah to be such a talker and, fading in from one scene to another, and he's still talking and she's making a face, and I love it. But also with his super fuckboy past, and a fuckboy is basically a player, I didn't know if his tears were because he's excited to be married or if he's scared that he won't be able to be as free as he used to be, because old habits are very hard to kill. So that was definitely something that I questioned, raised a very high eyebrow at. But he may actually be ready to go for it. Who knows? I'm just guessing based off of everything that was told. And then last episode, he did go to the strip club, and he even said, I want a wife that wants to go to the strip club for me. And I feel like that's such a rapper, Hollywood type of love. I don't know. It's personally not for me, that's for sure.
I mean, I've been to the strip club with somebody, but
I don't think it's bad to go to a strip club at all. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you want a wife that wants to do that, maybe you should meet her at a strip club. Or maybe you should meet her somewhere that does things like that. But if you go marry a stranger, I highly doubt that.
That's true.
I don't know. I thought that was a little much. So he still want to play and have fun, but Katina, obviously, she don't want to. She's done. She's like, I want to have babies in 2 years. I had my club girl scene. Like, I'm ready to settle. So that was a big green flag, simply because, she seems very upfront with what she wants, and for him it's still a gray area. Personally.
And she was looking at him at first like he was a little cheesy too, so
I'm
interested to see how they work out, because he's a little goofy, right? And even though she has a fun side, it's not a goofy side. Like, he's just a little on the So we will see. I think she seems like a strong black woman. I think she's going to look at him and raise an eyebrow eventually and be like, dude, grow up. That's my take on the two of them. I could be wrong. Let's see. And then lastly, they did kind of start the wedding for Stephen Noy, but she didn't walk down the aisle yet. They kind of had him standing there, waiting, the prep before the wedding type thing. She seemed really, really happy, showing the pictures of her mom and dad and stuff. And her mom can really dress up. I was like, oh, wow, look at that. Maybe that's where this noisy comes from. Maybe she learned this from mom. And then for Steve, before the wedding, he's getting his hair cut, and it's just like the barber with his the mock on him, repping his business and whatnot. I was like, really? That's what we're doing now?
Support small businesses, yeah.
But I'm really liking Steve's vibe. He seems down to earth. And he seems to have just the right amount of insecurity. You don't want an arrogant man, but you just that right touch of insecurity to where he's not arrogant. he understands that he's not all that. So it'll humble you a little bit as a man, and I think that's a good quality for a man to have. Just not too insecure, because that's don't do that. Just that tiny bit of insecurity, I think, is a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this episode was pretty boring. They dragged out these weddings and pretty much fed a lot of lines to everybody that was looking at them pick out outfits and things of that nature. It was just boring and very dragged out. So I'm more excited for the third episode because then we kind of finish it out with the weddings and then we get to the receptions. And then, you know, after the receptions, they usually take them to their little honeymoon suite. And I can already feel drama brewing. But I have nothing else to add. This was just a short recap of the episode with very minimal thoughts.
I tell you one thing I did not like about the episode is I was all ready for the Stephen Noy wedding, and then they just ended it right there. I was like, really? Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I agree. Very drawn out, picking of dresses and things like that. But yeah.
Yeah. So Lifetime, you wasted our time with this one, but hopefully you make up for it later. So this will be the short episode for Sip and Tell. So we're signing off.
Bye. See you on episode 3.
Bye-bye.